And now for the tale of the tape in this heavyweight showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by the Archlector, and the Bretonnians, who are going to be led by King Louis. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we're basically just going to be using chaff in the front line. We do have 4 groups of the standard spearmen with shields, which are pretty good for multiple reasons against the Bretonnians. So number 1, they have shields, so against peasant archers, they are going to be somewhat resilient. Number 2, they have charge defense, they have anti-large, and against the infantry like men-at-arms and foot squires, they have really good melee defense at 42. So pretty much the jack of all trades against Bretonnia. They're going to hold the line. They will be able to beat most men-at-arms here. You can see the spearmen at arms are going to be just pretty much inferior across the board. 20, 38, and 22 against 20, 42, and 25. So yeah, relatively close, but nonetheless, I think the spearmen of Sigmar shall hold. On top of that, just to make sure the front line isn't a complete wash, because if you just try and rely on just this for your front line, it's going to be a little bit tricky. The Bretonnians with numbers, or if they do come a little bit more elite with battle pilgrims or foot squires, will get through eventually. But if you mix in a couple Empire Knights, so I think in total I have 2, so there's going to be 1 Empire Knight here and 1 on the other side, I think. These guys are very solid for running over Bretonnian troops. Yeah, they don't have the best combat stats, but they have a decent charge bonus of 48. They have 26 melee attack, 28 melee defense, but you don't need great combat stats to beat Bretonnian infantry. You just need some armor, a charge bonus, and some good cycle charging. So these guys are going to be helping out in the front line. Hopefully they'll be able to handle these spearmen. And also something else Empire Knights are a decent niche against is going to be the, what are those guys called? The Knights Errant. They can kind of hold those guys back, and they serve similar purposes, but the Empire Knights are a little bit tankier. On top of that, we do have our elite goon squad, which is going to be the Archlector. So this guy is really good with Demogryph Knights. Basically what you do is you ride him with the Pimp Squad. God damn, he looks so cool. So you run him with the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and the Grand Shield of Faith. So when you fight the elite Bretonnian stuff, right? When you fight their Grail Knights or the Knights of the Realm or their Flying Lords over here, like I think it's King Lewin, you're going to be able to pop these buffs, and these Demogryph Knights are just going to be the couch stompers. These guys are going to be doing so much work here. They get the Grand Hammer, they're just all juicy, plus the Grand Soulfire also gives magic resist nearby troops. And the elite Bretonnian cav units like Grail Knights and things like that, if your opponent does go with those, which you don't see them as much as like Knights of the Realm, but nonetheless, you're going to be able to minimize their damage by a juicy, hot 90%, which is quite nice. That's going to be the Cav Corps. And of course, knowing it's an open field map, we have 2 cannons. We do have a great cannon here. We also have the Hammer of the Witches. So we're just going to Pound Town here on these Knights of the Realm, and hopefully it'll pay off. In the back, we do also have the Silver Bullets. No other missile units. I already have a lot to protect, so I didn't want to go too crazy with the guns, but that's pretty much it for my force. And for the Bretonnians, they have a very wide force. Mounted Yeoman going to be trying to find openings. You can see my opponent already just pressuring from multiple angles, which is quite good. He's got King Louis up in the skies, a little bit of a vulnerable target, but with the Lion Shield plus healing, he's going to be okay if he's microed correctly. On top of that, he does have 2 Knights of the Realm for his anti-cav, so my Demogryph Knights certainly will have an advantage in terms of just power, but my opponent has a lot of like mobile units and a lot of pressure, so it is going to be tricky. Plus his infantry corps is just objectively better. So he does have foot squires, 4 foot squires, 2 peasant bowmen with the pox arrows, and it looks like some Knights Errant over here. So that is a pretty solid little army. He does have the Damsel with Lore of Life and also the Manticore summon, so just getting down, pretty crunk with the casters for sure. So on that note, guys, let's see how the build does and have some fun. So right now I'm going to be sallying forth with my Demogryph Knights, making sure he doesn't get any freebies on the Silver Bullets. So the Silver Bullets do pop out at the last second. Of course, they do have stock, so my opponent did not see those, and he takes some pretty heavy damage there on King Louis, which is quite nice. And you can see the Great Cannons doing some really good work against these Knights of the Realm in the back who are trying to hide in the trees, but Silver Bullets and Cannons just raining some serious fire in, and these Spearmen should be able to hold for some time and allow my Cav and other troops to, potentially do some good work. So here, I know he's trying to get into the cookie jar. So the Mounted Yeoman here are getting in position. Knights of the Realm over here are getting in position. And I believe he had some back here. It looks like he is going to be trying to sneak around the back here, trying to weave in here. So I do pull these Spearmen back and move up my Empire Knights to kind of screen those guys out. And in the front line, we're going to be getting a juicy charge. These Empire Knights do charge into Unbraced Spearmen with shields. So these guys are going to be taking quite a bit of damage. And the Empire Knights are going to be pulling back at this point. And Demogryph Knights just going to be sweeping over to, screen out these Knights Errant and make sure that, I don't get overloaded on this position. Now, in the meantime, his Peasant Bowmen are going to be out trading my Silver Bullets. Archers are very good against powder units or handgun units, so he's going to be forcing me back here. So I do pull back, and at this point, the Bretonnians are kind of swarming on me. There's Spearmen coming everywhere. The Foot Squires are going to be engaging here. You could also see King Lewin has just taken brutal damage because I did switch the cannons onto him as well, so he's starting to take some work from that. But the Bretonnian Cav are going to be coming in to countercharge me, so Knights of the Realm are going to be, or Knights Errant are going to be fighting these Empire Knights, just trying to overload this position. Another rear charge coming in, so my Empire Knights get shreked here pretty bad. Very well played to my opponent, just kind of overloading my very vulnerable Empire Knights here. I did have some Spearmen nearby, but I knew the Foot Squires were coming in, so I'm like, do I send them over, do I not? A little bit of a hesitation there, which was not very good. Now, in the back here, he does summon a Manticore. Manticore is going to be going after my caster, which is a very good idea. And it looks like King Louis is going to be jumping here, which is very risky because I have Demogryph Knights nearby, so I could potentially collapse on him, but I think I was chasing the Knights Errant, and I did not see him land there. I was not paying attention in that area. Granted, chasing these guys, not the best play. A little bit of a mistake on my part. But anyways, right here, these Silver Bullets are going to be turning onto King Lewin, and the Archlector is going to be leading a goon squad, so they're just going to be riding through some of these Foot Squires, trying to hold them up while I work my way over to King Lewin right here. In the back, he does get some mounted yeomen, so I'm just like kind of rushing everywhere, like having to kind of deal with all these threats, all these angles of pressure. My opponent's doing a really good job, but the mounted yeomen do get pounded out pretty bad, so we're slowly kind of cleaning up. The only thing I've really lost, a couple, some damage on my spears and 2 Empire Knights, but aside from that, I'm in okay shape. We are able to break those mounted yeomen down. Over here, we actually get a decent little counterfight. We get some spearmen on top of these Knights of the Realm, and we're actually able to do some really good damage. And our guns do really punish the damsels, so there are some back and forth trades. And right here, we have the big old pit fight. So the Archlector here is going to be jumping with Zeralter of Griffites and these other guys, and it's going to be fighting King Lewin. So it's a bold strategy for sure, jumping in here. I think he thought he could cycle charge a little bit easier, but nonetheless, we pile in. We just dog pile on top of King Lewin. And Lewin's going to be trying to force his way out the back because he knows he has these spears and these foot squires, so he probably thought he could fall back a little bit easier. And he still does, but we get some really good damage on him. And the spearmen are going to be jumping in as well, so we certainly have a pretty heavy dogfight right here. Now, the cannons are still online, so the Hammer of the Witches is in good shape. The other cannon is pretty much offline. It did get knocked off here by these foot squires. The front line elsewhere is holding. My spearmen are doing pretty well against the spearmen of Bretonnia. This is actually their second fight. They do have 30 kills. These guys are going to be getting into the back, and it looks like his peasant archers are going to be scooting up. And his second match score summon has been used, so a lot of pressure coming in. But we get another charge here on the Knights, or the Mounted Yeomen, with our Demogryph Knights and the Archlector, just with our brutal goon squad. He's got his hammers out. He's going to be clubbing these Bretonians, just getting in there, doing a great job in the Civil War here. And yeah, you can see here the Mounted Yeomen going to be coming in, Knights of Errants, Knights of the Realm. Everything is pretty much piling in here. King Lewin is going to be coming in. The Manscore is going to be coming in. So both my opponent and I are going to be committing a lot of resources to this fight. But the other Demogryph Knights I accidentally overchased with are now back, and they just get a massive rear charge on the Knights of the Realm and are just taking these guys to task. I do also use a Shield of Thorns, I think. Yeah, I was going to pop a Shield of Thorns here, which gives physical resist and weapon damage and Earth Blood. So it's really going to be helping my Death Star and really hurting that of my opponent. So just great stuff here. The Empire Death Star is pretty serious. If you use Warrior Priest type characters and you use the healing, it can be extremely punishing. So we're able to get some good damage. And finally, in the back line, we get a little bit of an opening. The Empire Knights do come back from a route here, and we're trying to get them here on the Pox Arrows. But King Lewin does intercept here, and very good stuff. He's going to be able to shut these guys down and probably break them, especially with the poison arrows shooting them in the back. Now, Lewin's pretty beat up, but he does have quite some ways before his healing cap, and it looks like the second match core summon, or maybe that was the same one. It just hasn't been damaged. Yeah, it's going to be disappearing here in a second. So, of course, with the nerfs, the summons, the match core is only going to be lasting a set amount of time, and it will be disappearing here in just a moment. With that, you can see the bounce power massively goes in my favor, as now we have a huge Empire Crusade here, just going to be sweeping through. We have Demogryph Knights, we have the Archlector just going balls deep in this back line. Over there, they're a little bit of Last Samurai action, as King Lewin does dive on top of the silver bullets. But for the most part, these brave Knights of the Empire, the Demogryph Knights, are just sweeping through, trekking whatever they make contact with. And the cannon crews, I did kind of ditch them off the cannons and started to run, because there's no point to be near the cannons when the opponent has battlefield control. So we're just getting rid of the archers, just kind of sweeping about. We will be getting a rear charge into these foot squares right here, and you can see the damsel's going to be jumping in to fight with her cane as well. But nonetheless, that's going to be a very tough cookie to crack. These Demogryph Knights are pissed off. They're pretty healthy too, 19 of 24, and I think the other one has like something like 24 of 24, so pretty much full health here. But good stuff. My opponent is going to be climbing back wherever he can. You can see King Lewin is going to be jumping back here to go after the silver bullets, but they're just terrified, which means they're probably going to be coming back here in just a moment. And even the cannon crew, the great cannon here, is going to be fighting. So we're just trying to get our cannons back, and the other cannon crew, the Hammer of the Witches on the other side of the battlefield, is going to be running over here to try and get on top of that cannon. And now it's the final battle. So King Lewin does jump in here. He stands his ground. He pops the Lion Shield to make his foot squires and spears fight a little bit longer, which is quite good. And I do also pop the Grand Soulfire to do some AoE damage. Magic resist not going to be super pertinent here, but nonetheless, he does get my cannon crew, but the Royal Griffites and company are fighting hard. The Archlector leading them to battle here. He's got his double hammers. That is so heavy metal. That's pretty 1980s for sure, like just like heavy plate with like just 2 giant hammers. Anyways, here we're going to be fighting. The Archlector does pop all his buffs, so you can see the Demogryph Knights are even able to break through the Spearmen. And what's really good about Royal Griffites, even though they did take a huge beating, wow, they took a lot more damage than I expected. How many models do we have left? We have 11. They do cause terror, so a lot of the Bretonnian low-tier troops are going to be getting terror routed here. And the Archlector and company is going to be zerging on top of the Damsel with Lore of Beasts. Now, just killing it is going to affect the balance of power. And up in the skies, Lewin's in a little bit of trouble. He's got 416 HP. He is going to be breaking as his silver bullets do actually come back, which is going to be quite nice. So can these heroes of Sigmar take him out? They're going to be turning, they're going to be shooting, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote, as the Bretonnians do suffer army losses. So well played to my opponent. It was a very aggressive like Zerg. I was not expecting those kind of numbers. I was expecting more of like an elite Cav fight, but he went pretty light with the Cav. 2 Knights of the Realm and Mounted Yeomen, but it was a lot of pressure. Thankfully, the Demogryph Knights and Empire Knights are just so good at dealing with Mounted Yeomen. They're good at dealing with Knights Errant. They could actually hold for quite some time against Knights of the Realm because of their armor. So Empire Knights are just a really good unit. A lot of people write them off because of how low their combat stats are, but just like as a mobile armored roadblock and something that is really good at dealing with chaff, these guys are just so damn good. So yeah, the front line was good. You don't really need an elite front line, in my opinion, to beat Bretonnia. You can see you came with a bunch of foot squires, and we still were able to hold. And if you micro your cav effectively, able to get some good charges, you can really hammer the foot squires pretty bad. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could go with like a greatsword style of play, but even still, I think that favors the foot squires. I mean, greatswords will beat foot squires 1-to-1, but from a cost perspective, I think it's more cost effective for the foot squires. So I think just going light here, getting Demogryph Knights who trade super effectively across the board, especially if you mix them with an Arch Lector. Then if they come in with elite Bretonnian Cav, for example, like Grail Knights, they're just going to get smashed because you're going to have that 90% magic resist, which is so damn powerful. So Archlector is a pretty good pick here. You don't have to get him. You could also get like Boris or Carl or any of those other characters, and from there you can simply mix in like let's say like a Warrior Priest or something. It's pretty. I mean, but I was just trying to get it all in one, so I didn't have to pay for like extra characters. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. I like the build for sure. And the Bretonnian build was quite good. It had archers to deal with guns. It had an overwhelming amount of infantry. Just the one thing that it probably struggled with, if it's not able to effectively Zerg you and get to your back line, get the cannons down quick, it's going to have some trouble fighting against like Demogryph Knights and things like that. But very well played. The Manticore summons plus the healing was pretty nasty for sure. The Manticores were really a lot of pressure. He actually terrified and almost killed my Jade Wizard in the first like 2 minutes of the battle, which was pretty crazy. I mean, he almost got me there. And had maybe the Jade Wizard been fully chased off the battlefield, I think that could have been maybe game for sure, because those heals in the fourth quarter were super clutch. So very well played to my opponent, Hergaz. It was a great one. Look forward to facing off against you again, my friend. And we will see you guys next time. And yes, guys, I'm going to be getting more replays in with non-Skaven Lizardmen stuff. I know you guys might be getting a little bit burnt out, so I'm going to be trying my best to kind of get back to our normal pace of things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Empire and Bretonnia game. And yes, we will now officially see you next time. Take care.